Hey treasures, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing the final video in this series of the ditching your best friend type of story. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I will link them down below and I will put it up in the icon up here. So this is the last and final time that I really spoke to her, and I haven't spoken to her since. And yeah, I have no idea really that's a lie. I kind of know what's going on in her life, so like there will be like a little bit of like a catch up. But yeah, this was the last and final time I spoke to her. So if you want to listen to the finale of me no longer being best friends with my best friend, then let's continue. So I'm in a terrible mood and am currently fighting with my current best friend, and I might be cutting that bitch off too. So this may get a little bit more anger than I intend, okay? So Alexis and I had cut her off just again because of, her getting a boyfriend, and then that all of a sudden meant that she didn't care about her friends anymore, and like he was the most important thing, which funny enough is what's going on right now currently with my other best friend. And this is the thing, sorry, like mini rant, but like this is the thing that really pisses me off is like I tell my friends this story, I tell my friends stuff that had happened to me in my past with like other people that like did this, where they get a boyfriend and they act like no one else exists, and how much it pisses me off. And like if you're a person like that, like I'm sorry, but like we will not be close friends. Just let me know if you are, like, and they're just like, oh yeah, I hate when girls do that to me, like my friend did that to me too, blah blah blah. But then all these other bitches like do it to me, and it's just like, what is the point? Like I don't want to waste my time in a friendship and like caring about you and all these different things, whatever. Anyways, it's currently happening right now and it's really just pissing me off. She ends up sending me the message and was just like, this is like a couple years later, and she's just like her life and how I was such a good friend to her and she really wants to be friends again. And I told her, I'm sorry, I really appreciated our friendship and thank you so much for being there for me whenever we were friends, because you really were there for me whenever I needed you most of the time, but I just can't be your friend anymore. Like that ship has sailed for me. And let me tell you why the ship absolutely sailed, where I was like, I cannot be your friend. So I really don't give second chances. Back then, because this is what was a couple years ago, I still barely did. Like I still didn't even really, especially with guys, like there was no second chances. When I was like, okay, yes, I gave her a second chance, and it was because she happened to be like my best friend. Now, after like the initial, okay, you're my best friend, I'm gonna give you another chance, we grew up and blah blah blah, but then it was like you didn't actually really change that much. Like you still chose a guy over your friendship thing, which means like that tells me the type of person you are. If someone shows you who they are, believe them. You'd please be friends, and I said no, like we cannot be friends, because I saw things that I absolutely didn't like, and I absolutely just didn't want anyone around me to be doing those types of things. So I was like, no. So one day I end up getting a was it a text message? No, I think I get a message on Facebook, and this message pretty much was like, hey, what's up, how are you? And it happened to be with this guy her and I had actually like gotten into like a mini fight about, but I checked her real quick because I was like, girl, don't be mad at me because you decided to sleep with a fuckboy. Like that's not my concern. That's not my problem. So she ends up dating him. Like me and her stopped being friends, and I see like on Facebook that they end up like dating for real, like Facebook official, okay? And so I'm like, okay, smart choices while I'm out of your life. So I end up from him, and he's like, hey, what's up? Like, how are you doing? And I was like, oh, like I'm fine. How are you? And he tells me like some stuff that's like going on in his life and whatever, and like pretty much nothing has changed back from like when I talked to him before. And so I'm like, oh cool, like that's nice. Then like flirting with me, and I'm like, and so I go to his page and I check to see if they're still dating and like they're still together. So I'm like, one thing whenever like they just been like sleeping together and he flirted with me, but it's like a whole other thing, actual like Facebook official committed relationship to be flirting with me. And especially like with me, you know, I feel like that would be like just like throwing like fire on someone to be like trying to get at your girlfriend's like best friend or your girlfriend's ex-best friend that she wanted to be her friend again type thing, you know? Like I feel like that's like so rude. I mean, it's obviously rude to cheat in general, but like I feel like that's just like crossing an even extra, like you really don't care with this person. And so I, you know, was like shutting it down like immediately because I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, absolutely not. I'm not gonna go there with that, you know? And so then I kind of like left it alone and I left him with that. And I was like, yeah, no. And then I end up getting a text message and I had no idea who it was because the number wasn't saved. And so they're like, hey, how are you? And I was like, oh, I'm good. Like, how are you? And they're like, oh, I'm good. Like, and they're like, oh, so like, do you want to like go out? And I'm like, who is this? And they're like, oh, and they say their name. And I'm like, what the? My hair's in like a cute, like messy bun, but like, anyways. I am like, oh, well, did you guys break up? I wouldn't have gone out with him anyways, but I was like, oh, did you guys break up? Like, what happened? And he's like, no, we're actually out to dinner right now. You're hitting on this girl's ex-best friend where she wants to rekindle that friendship, and you're hitting on her while you're on a date out to dinner with your girlfriend, and you're hitting on her ex-best friend. Make that make sense. Not that I thought she made a good choice anyways whenever I saw that they were like official, but like we're not friends anymore. I'm not gonna randomly message you and be like, yeah, you shouldn't date him, you idiot. Look what he did to you whenever in front of your face when you guys are just sleeping together with me. Like, I'm not gonna go into your business because I don't care that much. But because I wasn't into it. Now I'm being brought into this because he's bringing me into it, you know, by flirting with me and like starting me out pretty much. So I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, no, I absolutely will not go out with you. And so he ends up like, later on, like he keeps trying to convince me, and I was like, listen, like I am never going to go out with you. Like, you are fully dating. On top of that, like you, like even if you guys weren't together, like I still wouldn't go out with you. Like, you slept with her. Like, I would not go out with you ever. And on top of that, like you're absolutely not my type. Like, there's never gonna be any hope for us at all. So then I'm, you know, caught into this like moral space, and I'm like, okay, do I tell her? Because, you know, one, she's an idiot for dating him seriously anyways, but on the other hand, it's like, you know, girl code. Like, should I follow girl code even though I think she's an idiot? And so I ended up just doing the moral thing and the girl code thing, and I end up telling her because my friends were like, well, just tell her because then, you know, at least you were in the right type thing. So I'm like, okay, fine. So I end up texting her and I tell her, and I'm like, hey, so-and-so is texting me. I just wanted you to know, like, I don't think this is ridiculous. Like, he's messaged me twice now and I've shut him down each time. And I like sent her like screenshots of like the stuff that he's saying, and I'm like, he literally was like trying to get me to go out with him while you guys were on a date type thing. And she's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for telling me. And I'm like, you're welcome, take care, pretty much. Because I was like, this is not the opening like the floodgates of like us being friends again. I'm just doing the girl code thing type thing, you know? So I sent her the text message and I say like, yes, you're welcome, whatever. Then he ends up messaging me around New Year's, and before that they posted a picture like during the holidays, like for Christmas time. So he's texting me around New Year's and he's like, hey, my friend's throwing this party, did you want to come? And I tell him, no, I don't want to go. And he tells me, and I ask him like, oh, is Alexis gonna be there? And he tells me, no, she's out with her dad, or she's hanging out with her dad. And I'm just thinking like, this boy is relentless. Like, this is an entire joke. And so then I sent her this text message because I'm like, honestly, I don't really give a shit about like, oh, like, don't ruin her holidays. Like, I don't care about that stuff. Like, I was either gonna tell her now or I was never gonna tell her. So I decided to tell her. And so I tell her, and I just sent her the screenshots. Like, I don't even open up with like, how was your Christmas? Like, no. I sent her the screenshots and I'm like, why are you still with him? Like, he absolutely does not care. Like, he absolutely does not care about your relationship. This is ridiculous. And she goes into telling me how she doesn't really know how she's gonna leave him. She doesn't really know, well, and like how she told me that she confronted him about like the one in the restaurant when they're on the date, and how she was like crying to him and like whatever, screaming at him. And she told me like she yelled at him and she hit him. And I'm like, okay, listen, he is shady, yes, but I don't need to know about your like domestic violence, you know, like, because yeah, he was cheating on you, but like hitting him, like, what is that gonna do, you know? He's still gonna do it. And I don't really think that you should be hitting anybody. Like, if someone cheats on you, just leave. So I was like, okay, but yet you're still with him, so like, what, like, why would he take you seriously? Let's just like stop the story for a second. Why would he honestly take you seriously and be like, you know what, yeah, I'm going to not cheat on this girl, when he had done it prior and all you did was yell and cry? Why would he be like, yeah, I'm not gonna cheat on you anymore? I don't understand. Me, if I was a guy, or if I cheated on someone and they decided to forgive me and like all they did was like cry, but like I'm just a cheater and I'm just like a shitty person, I'm still gonna do it because like they're still with me till this day. They still trust me. They still probably like sleep with me. They still probably love me, blah, 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 and like tell me all this stuff. So why would I ever change my behavior? They didn't change theirs. They're probably acting the exact same way towards me. Like, if I didn't care enough and I cheated on you, then I'm not gonna care enough after I cheat on you and you stay with me, you know? So anyways, me, she doesn't really know how to leave the situation, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just thinking, okay, like maybe this girl is pregnant or something. Maybe this girl is, I don't know, maybe she's in like a domestic relationship. But then I'm thinking, absolutely not for the domestic thing, because, I mean, I could be wrong. This is me speculating, okay? She is way bigger than him, and like I said, she hit him, so there's no way for that whole thing. So I'm just like, the D cannot be that good. Like, there's no way it's that good. You know what I mean? Like, don't sit here and tell me it's that good because you're putting up with all that BS, you know? So I honestly haven't talked to her since then. That was the last time I ever really said any, that was the last time I ever said any words to her, and that was that. Now, I would say a few weeks ago, I ran into this guy that I met through her, and they were really good friends. And I ended up like talking to him, and we were like catching up and stuff. And he ends up telling me that, like, oh, she's dating someone new now, and all these different things. And I was like, wow, okay, well, you know, hopefully she's happy. I don't really know what else to say. Like, I wouldn't wish ill upon her, but yeah. So anyways, just to wrap up this whole entire 3-parter story time, I just want to say, like, me looking back on everything now as being almost 26, like, my birthday is in 5 days. Yeah, like 5 days. I personally, like, don't regret ever, like, you know, like, kicking her out of my life. I do not regret me making the decision and being like, nope, this is not the type of person like I want in my life. This is not the type of person that I can respect. Therefore, if I don't respect you, I can't be friends with you. And I think that's like a good call to make. So if you're with somebody and like, you know, there are some girls that are doing the more like free thing, and like, I'm not slut shaming or anything like that, but if you have a friend and you don't respect them, for the sake of that person, and if you do care about them, I would honestly just say, like, we probably shouldn't be friends, because like, if I don't respect you, then you just make them look foolish, because then you don't actually care, you know? And I feel like if you have friends in your life, or you're gonna call someone a friend, like, you should have their best intentions with them. You should like be there for them and love and like care about them and support them in what they do. And if there's any like malice intent or malicious intent, then I don't feel like you should be friends with anybody. And if they are putting you constantly in harm's way, or what you think is harm's way, then you probably should not be friends with them. Now, with that being said, of course, people have like, you know, rough periods. I'm saying if you constantly are starting to see a pattern, and that's the person that they are, or the person that they're becoming, then you might just have to hop off the train, and like, that is not for you anymore, the path that they lead you on. So anyways, guys, that's it for this story time. Thank you so much for listening, and I can't wait to see you whenever I'm going to be 26. So I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.